Come as you are, the surprising new science that will transform your sex life, by Emily Nagoski, Ph.D. Picture this. It's late at night, the house is silent, and someone, maybe your younger self, maybe a friend, sits alone with their phone, about to type the most vulnerable question into a search bar they pray nobody will ever see. It's whispered into the digital void, a question that echoes in countless minds but is rarely spoken aloud. The question is achingly simple, yet it carries an unbearable weight. Am I normal? Why don't I crave sex like my partner does? Why does my own body sometimes feel like it belongs to a stranger? Why doesn't it work the way the movies promised it would? And underneath all these questions pulses one terrifying fear. Is something fundamentally wrong with me? For decades, science and culture have offered answers that left millions of people, especially women, feeling broken, defective, and utterly alone. But here's the plot twist. What if you were never the problem? What if the real problem was the story everyone told you about yourself? Today we're diving into a book that's so much more than a guide to better sex. It's a revolutionary roadmap to self-acceptance called Come As You Are, written by the brilliant and wonderfully compassionate Dr. Emily Nagoski. This isn't just a book, it's a masterclass in understanding who you really are, and it's become a lifeline for people around the world. Dr. Nagoski is a sex educator with a Ph.D. in health behavior who spent her career on the front lines, answering the questions most people are too afraid to ask out loud. She's witnessed firsthand the damage caused by misinformation, and she's made it her mission to replace those harmful myths with a liberating truth. And here's that truth. You're normal, you're whole, and you already have everything you need for a joyful, confident sex life. By the time we finish this journey together, you'll understand your own sexual response system in a completely new way. You'll discover the single most important secret to unlocking your unique capacity for pleasure, and you'll learn that it has almost nothing to do with what you do, and everything to do with how you feel about who you are. So take a breath, get comfortable, and let's begin. Our story starts with a simple but devastating misunderstanding. For far too long, science and culture have been telling us the wrong story about sex. Specifically, they've insisted that women's sexuality is just a watered-down, less exciting version of men's sexuality, what Dr. Nagoski calls men's sexuality light. The logic went like this. If men have orgasms from intercourse, women should too. If men get aroused just by seeing someone attractive, women should too. And if they don't, well, clearly something's broken. This one faulty assumption has caused an ocean of shame, anxiety, and unnecessary suffering. But the new science tells a radically different story. It's not about being better or worse, the same or different. The real story can be captured in one beautiful principle that will guide our entire journey, a mantra worth remembering. We are all made of the same parts, but in each of us, those parts are organized in a unique way. Think of it like apple trees. Some varieties need constant, direct sunlight to thrive. Others prefer dappled shade. Some bear fruit early in the season, others late. Is one tree superior to another? Of course not. They're just different. Each is healthy and beautiful in its own right, with its own specific needs. Your sexuality works the same way. You're perfectly healthy, whether you need lots of sun or prefer the shade. The secret isn't changing what kind of tree you are. It's learning how to cultivate your own specific garden. And to do that, we first need to understand the hardware we were born with. Let's start with anatomy. For centuries, we've been taught that male and female bodies are complete opposites. But biology tells a different story. In the early stages of development in the womb, Every single fetus has identical genital hardware. It's a universal starting point. Only after a wash of hormones does this universal hardware organize itself into what we recognize as male or female configurations. The tissue that becomes the penis in males becomes the clitoris in females. The tissue that becomes the scrotum becomes the outer labia. They originate from the exact same fetal tissue. They are what scientists call homologous, the same parts, just organized differently. This is why understanding your own body is absolutely critical. Popular culture often reduces the clitoris to a tiny, insignificant button at the top of the vulva. But the biological reality is that the clitoris is a vast, mostly internal structure, with deep roots extending all the way to the vaginal opening. It is, as Nagoski calls it, your grand central station of erotic sensation. Unlike the penis, which has 4 jobs, sensation, urination, penetration, and ejaculation, the clitoris has only one purpose: pleasure. It exists for no other reason. This knowledge is genuinely transformative. As Nagoski so powerfully puts it, knowing where the clitoris is important, but knowing where your clitoris is, that's power. It's about claiming ownership of your body on its own terms, not on the terms culture has dictated for you. But here's the thing. The most important sex organ isn't between your legs. It's the 3-pound universe between your ears, your brain. And just like your anatomy, your brain's sexual response system is made of the same parts as everyone else's, just organized in your own unique way. The breakthrough in understanding this comes from something called the dual control model. Imagine your sexual response system is like a car with 2 crucial components. First, you have an accelerator, a gas pedal. This is your sexual excitation system, or SES. Its job is to scan your environment for anything sexually relevant: a sight, a sound, a touch, a thought, and send a message to your body saying, "Turn on." But equally important, you have brakes. This is your sexual inhibition system, or SIS. Its job is to scan for all the good reasons not to be turned on right now: stress, feeling unsafe, being in the wrong environment, worrying about your body, and send a message saying, "Turn off." Here's the crucial insight. Arousal isn't just about pressing the gas pedal. It's a delicate balance between 2 forces, turning on the ons and turning off the offs. You could be receiving all the right stimulation, slamming the gas pedal to the floor, but if your foot is also pressing hard on the brake, you're not going anywhere. This simple idea, gas and brakes, is genuinely revolutionary. It explains so much. Every single person has both a gas pedal and brakes. But, and here's that mantra again, the sensitivity of these parts is organized differently in each of us. Some people are born with highly sensitive gas pedals. The slightest touch or thought gets them going. Others have less sensitive ones and need more stimulation to rev up. Similarly, some people have highly sensitive brakes. Any little distraction or worry brings their arousal to a screeching halt. Others have low sensitivity brakes and can stay aroused even in less than ideal situations. On average, at the population level, men tend to have more sensitive accelerators, and women tend to have more sensitive brakes. This is a key reason why that old men's sexuality light model failed so spectacularly. It was a model with only a gas pedal, completely ignoring the power and importance of the brakes, which are often more influential for women. But remember, these are just averages. The variation within men and within women is far greater than the average difference between them. Some women have incredibly sensitive gas pedals, and some men have incredibly sensitive brakes. There's no right way to be wired. There's only your way. So you've got this machinery, gas and brakes. But what tells the machinery when to act? What determines what counts as a turn-on or a turn-off? The answer is context. Context is the single most important factor in your sexual response. Nagoski calls it the one ring that rules them all. Context is made of two things: your external circumstances, where you are, who you're with, and, even more importantly, your internal brain state, how you're feeling: stressed, relaxed, safe, happy. Think about being tickled. If you're in a playful, flirtatious mood with someone you adore, being tickled can be fun, exciting, even a prelude to something more. But imagine you're angry or stressed, and that same person tries to tickle you with that exact same touch. It's no longer fun, it's irritating, maybe even infuriating. The sensation is identical, but the context has changed, so your perception of the sensation is completely different. This is true for everything, especially sex. The exact same touch from your partner can feel electrifying one day and completely uninteresting the next. Why? Because the context has changed. One day you're relaxed and feeling connected. The next day you're stressed about a work deadline. In a safe, relaxed, and happy context, almost anything can feel like a turn-on. Your brain is in approach mode, curious and open. But in a stressed or anxious context, almost everything gets perceived as a potential threat. Your brain shifts into avoidance mode, and it will hit the brakes on anything that isn't essential for survival. And what are the two most powerful contextual factors influencing our brain state? Stress and love. Let's talk about stress first. Think of your stress response as an ancient survival mechanism designed for a world with very real physical threats, like lions. When a lion appears, your body floods with hormones that prepare you to do one of three things: fight, flee, or freeze. This is your survival system kicking into overdrive. Now ask yourself a simple question. If a lion is chasing you, is that a good time to have sex? Obviously not. Your brain prioritizes survival above everything else. The problem is, in our modern world, we're rarely chased by actual lions. Our lions are deadlines, traffic jams, financial worries, and arguments with loved ones. They are, as one writer brilliantly put it, paper lions. But our brains and bodies can't tell the difference. They react to a stressful email from your boss with the same ancient survival circuitry they'd use for a predator. For about 80% of people, stress slams hard on the sexual brakes. The secret to managing stress isn't avoiding it. That's impossible. The secret is completing the stress cycle. When you run from a lion and make it back to the safety of your village, your body knows you've survived. The cycle is complete. But when you just sit at your desk stewing over that stressful email, the cycle never finishes. The stress hormones just sit there, trapped in your body, making you sick, tired, and slamming your sexual brakes. How do you complete the cycle? By speaking your body's language. Physical activity is the single most efficient method. Literally running, dancing, or even just shaking it out tells your body you've escaped the lion. Other effective methods include deep breathing, a good cry, genuine laughter, or physical affection with someone you love and trust. You have to give your body the signal that the threat is over and you're safe. The second powerful context is love, or what scientists call attachment. Like stress, attachment is a primal survival mechanism. As infants, we're completely dependent on our caregivers. Our connection to them is literally a matter of life and death. That ancient wiring doesn't disappear when we grow up. Our romantic partners become our primary attachment figures. They become our home, our safe base in the world. This explains why sex can feel so incredibly intense at the beginning of a relationship, or even during make-up sex after a fight. It's what Nagoski calls sex that advances the plot. When our attachment bond feels new or threatened, our brain goes into alert mode. Sex becomes a powerful way to close that distance, to secure the bond, to confirm, we're okay, I'm home. It's driven by more than just pleasure. It's driven by the primal need for connection and safety. This is why that intense, desperate craving for a partner often fades in long-term, stable relationships. It's not a sign that love is dying. It's a sign that the attachment is secure. The fire alarm has been turned off, and now you have the opportunity to build a different kind of fire, one based not on anxiety, but on joy and play. Beyond stress and love, there's another layer of context: culture. From the moment we're born, our culture plants seeds in our garden. It teaches us what to believe about our bodies and our sexuality. Nagoski identifies 3 powerful and often contradictory messages that we all receive. 1. The moral message. This is the old story that sex, especially for women, is dangerous, shameful, or something to be feared. It says your value lies in your purity, and that being a sexual person makes you unlovable. 2. The medical message. This message insists there's one right way for sex to work, a standard of performance you must meet. It promotes ideas like simultaneous orgasm during intercourse as the gold standard, and if your body doesn't perform that way, you must be dysfunctional. 3. The media message. This is perhaps the most pervasive of all. It constantly tells you you are inadequate, your body is wrong, your desires are wrong, you need this product or that technique to be sexually desirable. It creates an impossible standard and then profits from your feeling that you don't measure up. These messages create shame, disgust, and worst of all, body self-criticism. And this is critical. Self-criticism is not a motivator, it's a form of stress. When you look in the mirror and think, "Ugh, I'm so fat," or "I hate my stomach," your body literally reacts as if a lion just walked into the room. It floods with stress hormones and slams on the brakes. The solution isn't beating yourself up harder, it's learning the practice of self-compassion, treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a dear friend. Now that we understand the hardware and the context, let's look at the experience of sex itself and bust some of the biggest myths that cause so much pain. The first and most mind-blowing myth involves arousal. The standard story goes, when a man gets an erection, he's turned on. When a woman gets wet, she's turned on. Simple, right? Wrong. This is where we encounter the concept of arousal non-concordance. Concordance is just a fancy word for agreement. In scientific studies, there's about a 50% overlap between a man's physical genital response and his subjective feeling of being turned on. That's a pretty strong correlation. But for women, the overlap is only about 10%. Let that sink in. For women, there's very little connection between what their genitals are doing and what their brain is feeling. A woman can be completely aroused in her mind and be physically dry, or she can be physically wet and feel completely uninterested in sex. Why? Nagoski offers a brilliant analogy. Imagine the brain and the genitals are 2 friends walking down the street, looking for a place to eat. For women, the genitals are the friend who points out every single food establishment they pass. There's a restaurant. That's a restaurant. Ooh, a hot dog stand. They're simply identifying anything that's food-related. They have no opinion on whether it's a good place to eat. Meanwhile, the brain is the discerning friend, considering the context. I'm not in the mood for pizza. That place doesn't look clean. I'm feeling more like Thai tonight. The genitals are simply responding to anything that's sexually relevant. They're saying, this is a restaurant. The brain is the one that decides if something is sexually appealing. It's the one that says, yum, let's eat here. This is not a dysfunction. It's just how the female response system is designed. It's expecting, not enjoying. This single idea has profound implications. It means a woman's body responding does not equal desire. It does not equal enjoyment. And it certainly does not equal consent. The best way to know if a woman is turned on? Listen to her words, not her body. This leads us to the next big myth about desire. The standard story says that desire is a drive, like hunger. It builds up spontaneously, out of the blue, and creates an urgent need that must be met. And if you don't feel that, you must have low desire. But Nagoski is emphatic. Sex is not a drive. Drives are about survival. You need food, water, and sleep to live. You do not need sex to live. Sex is an incentive motivation system, which is a scientific way of saying it's more like curiosity than hunger. It's something that pulls you toward pleasure, not something that pushes you to avoid death. This distinction matters enormously. It frees us from the tyranny of should, and it opens the door to understanding two different styles of desire. First, there's spontaneous desire. This is the hunger model we all know. It's what about 75% of men and about 15% of women experience. But there's another equally valid and healthy style, responsive desire. This is what about 30% of women and 5% of men experience. For people with responsive desire, the desire for sex doesn't come first. Arousal comes first. The context has to be right. The stimulation has to begin. And then, in response to that pleasure, desire emerges. The spark has to happen before the fire wants to be fed. If you have a responsive desire style, you're not broken. You're like a tomato plant in a world that expects everyone to be a cactus. You just need a different kind of care and environment to thrive. You need a compelling reason to want sex, and that reason is often the pleasure that's already happening. Finally, let's talk about orgasm. Culture treats it as the ultimate goal, the marker of sexual success. Nagoski beautifully reframes it. Orgasm is not a requirement. It's a fantastic bonus. And just like everything else, it's surrounded by myths. The biggest one is that the best or real orgasm for women comes from penile vaginal intercourse. The science is crystal clear. Only about 30% of women reliably orgasm from intercourse alone. Why? Again, it's anatomy. The clitoris is grand central station, and intercourse doesn't always provide the right kind of stimulation for it. The most common way for women to orgasm is through direct clitoral stimulation. If you're in the 70% who don't reliably orgasm from intercourse alone, you're not dysfunctional, you're in the vast majority. So how do you have bigger, better, more ecstatic orgasms? The secret isn't a new technique or magic position. The secret is creating the right context. Nagoski uses a wonderful metaphor. Your brain is like a flock of birds. Ecstasy happens when all the birds in the flock are flying together in the same direction, toward the same destination. If some birds are flying toward pleasure, but other birds are worried about how your body looks, or if you're cold, or if you're scared the kids might wake up, the flock is scattered. The experience is fragmented. To have an ecstatic orgasm, you need to get all the parts of yourself, your body, your mind, your emotions, all flying together. And how do you do that? You turn off as many of the offs as possible, and you turn on the ons gradually, giving the whole flock time to align. This brings us to the final and most important piece of the puzzle. It's the ultimate sex-positive context. It's the secret that ties everything together. It's not about what you feel, it's about how you feel about how you feel. This is the concept of meta-emotions. Our culture has given us a map of what sexuality is supposed to look like. But for many of us, our own body, our own experience is completely different terrain. When the map and the terrain don't match, we assume our terrain, our body, is wrong. We feel frustrated, ashamed, or broken because we're not where the map says we should be. That feeling about our feeling, that's the meta-emotion, and that negative meta-emotion is a powerful break. The solution? Throw away the faulty map and learn to trust the terrain. The key to this is a practice called non-judging. It's about welcoming your sexuality exactly as it is in this moment, with kindness and curiosity, rather than criticism. If you have responsive desire, the goal isn't to force yourself to feel spontaneous desire. The goal is to feel good about having responsive desire. If you're non-concordant, the goal isn't to make your body and brain sync up perfectly. It's to accept and love the way your body works. When you let go of the struggle against yourself, when you stop treating your own experience as the enemy, something magical happens. The brakes release. The frustration dissolves. And in its place, a space opens up. A space for curiosity, for play, for joy, and for pleasure. This is the ultimate promise of Come As You Are. The journey to a confident and joyful sex life isn't about becoming someone else. It isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about coming home to yourself. It's about realizing that you were never broken to begin with. As the book so beautifully concludes, borrowing a lesson from the movie Kung Fu Panda, there is no secret ingredient. It's just you. You are the secret ingredient. As we come to the end of our journey through Come As You Are, I find myself reflecting on just how radical and deeply kind this book really is. On the surface, it's a book about sex, filled with science and practical advice. But at its heart, it's a powerful manifesto for self-acceptance. In a world that constantly bombards us with messages of inadequacy, Dr. Nagoski's core message, that you're normal, whole, and beautiful just as you are, feels like a genuinely revolutionary act. The most profound lesson for me is the shift from seeing our sexuality as a performance to seeing it as an experience. For so long, we've been handed a script, a map, as Nagoski would say, and we've been judged on how well we follow it. This book gives us permission to throw that script away. It teaches us that the most important source of knowledge about our own pleasure and desire isn't some external authority, but the quiet, honest voice of our own internal experience. Trust the terrain. This isn't just a lesson for the bedroom, it's a lesson for life. How many of us live with a constant, low-grade feeling of not being enough? Not smart enough, not successful enough, not thin enough. The principles in this book, understanding your unique wiring, managing your stress, practicing self-compassion, and letting go of judgment, are a blueprint for living a more joyful and authentic life in every domain. So how can you start putting these powerful ideas into practice today? Here are a few simple actions you can take. First, get curious about your own gas and brakes. Over the next week, just notice. What situations, thoughts, or feelings reliably hit your sexual brakes? Is it stress, fatigue, feeling disconnected? And what hits your gas pedal? Is it a certain kind of touch? A feeling of being desired? Laughter? You don't need to change anything at first. Just observe, without judgment. Knowledge is the first step. Second, practice completing the stress cycle. The next time you feel stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, consciously do something to signal to your body that you're safe. Go for a brisk walk. Put on your favorite song and dance for 3 minutes. Give someone you love a long 20-second hug. You'll be amazed at how quickly your body can shift out of that lion is chasing me state when you give it what it needs. And third, perhaps most importantly, practice self-compassion. The next time you hear that critical voice in your head telling you that you're not good enough, I want you to pause and ask yourself one simple question. Would I ever say this to someone I love? The answer is almost always no. Then try to offer yourself the same kindness you'd offer a friend. It's a practice, not perfection, but it can change everything. That was our deep dive into Come As You Are by Dr. Emily Nagoski. We've journeyed through the core ideas today, but I'll be honest with you. A summary is like looking at a travel brochure. It can show you the pictures and tell you about the destination, but it can't give you the feeling of the sun on your skin or the scent of the ocean air. The real magic happens when you take the trip yourself. This book is filled with personal stories, detailed exercises, and a profound sense of warmth and wisdom that we could only touch on. If anything we've talked about has sparked a sense of recognition or curiosity in you, I encourage you to pick up a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning facts. It's an experience that can genuinely and beautifully change the relationship you have with yourself. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and want to continue exploring life-changing books from the Billionaire's Bookshelf, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It tells us we're on the right track and ensures you won't miss our next journey. Let's keep learning and growing together.